Welcome back. You're watching the Power Breakfast Show, and our second interview this morning, we're talking to an entrepreneur. He started a service that has ended up being very beneficial to many people, and he'll tell us more about it. I'm talking about Danson Muchemi. He's a CEO of Jambo Pay, an e-ticketing service. E-payment service. Thank you very much for joining us. And then there's, of course, Patrick Gunza on the other end, and he's from the business world, so you help us understand what exactly, or you direct us in that direction. Yes. But I guess the first question is, who is Dan Muchemi? I think that's where we start from. Who's Dan Muchemi?
Well, thank you. Danson is an entrepreneur. I'm a believer of technology and a believer of youth in change and in leadership. I'm also very patriotic. I'm a chief executive officer of Jambo Pay. Jambo Pay is an innovative electronic payment service provider, 31 years old.
All right, so this is something you started off in a cyber cafe. Tell us a story.
You see, after university, I had the dream of, even right from university, I had believed that I should be part of change. I always wanted to be responsible over so many things, and part of that meant getting into business, venturing into business. As it happens, in so many other cases, I did not have funds.
Yes.
And so, funds for rent, among other things, so I decided to walk into a cyber cafe and rent one machine there at View Park Towers, and it was 12th floor, for 4,500. So yes, we started Jambo Pay in a cyber cafe in Nairobi. Yes.
You talk about being in university and then starting your company. Did you see there was no need to go for formal employment?
Well, it's yes and no. Personally, I thought, why not? Why not create that employment? And given that I'd seen elsewhere, I'd read stories, and I had developed from very early, believed in myself. So I decided to not necessarily pursue formal employment, but yes, I did get employed somewhere briefly. Primarily to gain work ethics, understand, experience in work culture, processes. So I took myself into some employment to learn, to get better in doing my business.
Okay.
And then what is it that prompted you perhaps to decide to go solo, venture into entrepreneurship, despite the fact that you are in formal employment?
I started by, I had this strong desire for responsibilities. I even to date, I always wish I could get more responsibilities. I wish I could get responsibilities.
Are you a last born?
I'm a firstborn.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So that was one. I also saw an opportunity in electronic payments. Still at the university, we did not have anyone in Kenya would sell stuff across the world online and get paid in an account here. Among other things, but real drivers need to be part of change, to cause something to happen, to be responsible, and opportunity in electronic payments. Yes.
Did you have any background on matters techpreneurship, because it's basically matters to do with all these technologies, so that online platforms can actually add value to people's life?
I started telecommunication, information and telecommunication technology at Kenyatta University. I think the background I had in business was, I had rabbits. Well, I was in lower primary, class 3, class 4, and I sold those rabbits. That was my first enterprise. At the university, I also had some small enterprise.
And so there's always this perhaps argument, Kirigo, that perhaps entrepreneurs are either born or made. Which side of this particular argument do you perhaps agree to?
I would agree to maybe both, because my mom gave birth to me, so at least I qualify that I was born. I'm made because I have had to go, personally I had to undergo a lot of, you get to go through a lot of environment that get you trained, learning, and a lot of experiences. The challenges we have gone through as when we were starting the organization, and every day at Jambo Pay, that is what makes you better. Today I'm better because yesterday we overcame some challenges. Last year we overcame a lot of challenges also, and so forth. Since 2009, the last 6 years has been a journey of overcoming challenges, and the moment you overcome some challenges, any challenge, you are better tomorrow, and you are better equipped to face the following day. So yes, it's born and made, because I'm alive now because I was born.
All right, Danson, you talk about coming up with this product that you felt we needed, and this is e-payment services. Weren't you scared that, one, we would not adopt to it as quickly as possible, meaning your business then would take a longer time to take off? Two, in a time where there's a lot of internet hacking, cybercrime. I can tell you, I can attest that I'm one person who's still very, very resistant to internet transactions. How then did you decide to just go ahead with it?
You see, you have to be brave. In fact, I always say to my friends, you have to know you are a champion, from the onset. You are born because there was some competition somewhere, and you are just born because you were conceived. So you have to be brave first, and you are a winner. So getting into translating that into what you do, as an entrepreneur, you have to form a product or a service, and there are certain steps that you follow. One is you have to understand the environment. You have to look at what opportunities exist, and how anyone else around there does it. So once you have formed that concept of that there is an opportunity and you have a product for that, then you should not be afraid. In fact, you should not be afraid that you are the first person to do. Any idea that you can think of, you can get done. As of to when and how long this will take to mature, I think all of it is it's up to you as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are the people who make things happen. You don't just sit there and wait for the universe or things to just evolve as they should, just naturally. In fact, I strongly believe, I know this seat is here because someone brought it here. And so the next seat, if we were to add another one here, is because someone would have to work and bring that here. So being a believer of getting things done as an entrepreneur, getting even adoption for your product, that's up to you solely. And there is one service that I look back and see. Today, the capital city of Nairobi, there's not a single paper. The parking is not manual any longer. It's 100% moved to the automated format. So that's an achievement, that is, someone has done some work, or some guys have done some work. We had to work as entrepreneurs, with officers, the people that you are interacting with at the county government. You have to work and reason and see what challenges there were or there are to get, which you have to clear to move from point A to point B. To point B. Yes.
Before Patrick asks your question, you've said something very interesting in the sense that you have an idea, go for it. But then this particular idea, e-payment services, was there before 6 years ago, right? Not in this country, not in this country, in the developed countries, right? So my question to you is, should upcoming entrepreneurs bother themselves with inventing another wheel, or should they just simply reinvent the wheel? What's your take on that? There are those who say, go out and invent the wheel. Then there are others who say, you know what, just reinvent it and make it better, especially now that you're in Africa. What's your take?
6 years when we started, there was no other. We did not have any other firm providing services that we provide here in this locally.
Yes.
Elsewhere,
but internationally?
Yes, there were.
There were.
And entrepreneurs should not even look at what is out there or here. I think is the challenges that are within our society and how to solve those challenges. So you have to look at the problems that needs to get sorted, not even who has done what and how, where. It is the problems that are within your locality or the ecosystem that you want to operate or to do, and how do you sort out these problems in an enterprising way so that's sustainable.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
I get it. Does it mean that the manual way of transacting business actually wasn't fulfilling amongst Kenyans, or what is it? What are some of the challenges that you think or problems that e-payment came to solve?
One is efficiency. if you do transaction today, if you are paying, for example, for your land rates, for example, here, or you want to shop online, it takes just minutes. Ordinarily, that journey would involve moving from bank. It would be hours, maybe 3-4 hours to complete that, and you can do that in 10 minutes. Number 2 is the security. Imagine paying for services and you have to carry loads of tons of money, or businesses getting paid. There are businesses that collect money, they are paid, and lose a lot of money in transit, moving that to the bank. So here you have a scenario or an environment, your money you just see those transactions moving into your bank in real time. So it is the efficiency, we have the security aspect of it, we have the visibility, because you can see what was transacted 6 years ago. The first transaction that we did for the first organization is still available. They can go back and see all those records. And also that you are also able to cut on costs. It costs much less to move 1 million electronically compared to moving manually. 1 million, you need CIT, these are cash in transit and what have you. Now in electronic format, you do not require any of that.
Let me ask you, 6 years later, what would you tell us was your biggest breakthrough? Where did it all start making sense?
I count first and biggest breakthrough was just the conviction that it is time to wake up and start. That was my biggest. The day I surmounted that effort and got into the cyber cafe and started and said, I created a business plan and give that a name and called myself I was then the business development director. That was the biggest breakthrough. The second biggest breakthrough was when we walked across to the Central Bank of Kenya seeking for approvals, and they said, yeah, you can proceed. That was after some 18 months. Getting a bank to accompany us, we got one commercial bank because it was a requirement by the law then, regulation, that you needed to have a bank accompany you in the process of getting regulated. I also have had certain other breakthroughs. One notable one is getting a farmer. We have a farmer who is a merchant, or one of our customers who sold milk electronically, getting his customers to pay him electronically to order, and that was, I felt this is big. And recently we managed to move the capital city, Nairobi, the EGGP platform, into a fully automated capital city. By the way, the first African city that is totally cashless in parking payments.
And those are some of the upsides for this particular, perhaps, invention, for lack of a better word. But then again, we have other, perhaps, the downside part of it. Look at, perhaps, illiteracy when it comes to technology, amongst especially the older generation who still need these services. And also look at system breakdowns. How do you address such challenges when everyone needs efficiency at the time when they need it?
Thank you. The team at Jambo Pay, that's those 2 points of literacy and system stabilities. That's actually our challenge usually. And what we've done around literacy is we have taken to developing interfaces and technology that if I operate that from Marigat or Kapsabet or Lugulu village in Western, well, I operate from that point, it should have my language that is, if it is Luhia, I should see menus that are in that language. So we are, because, and that's the strength of being local, being in touch with the environment, because you are able to, a multinational would not do that. So we are able to customize, and that's what we are working on, getting really custom solutions for our society. The social aspect of technology, we are working very hard to get that onto our technology. Now, on the stability of systems, yes, all systems undergo some cycle. You have to look at the responses. There is the stress. You have to do a lot of stress tests. You have to look at a lot of these things. You have is how you learn, and any entrepreneur should not be afraid to undertake a venture because of this. So at Jambo Pay, we have taken a lot of time, a lot of investment now in infrastructure, ensuring that we have sufficient bandwidths. Data centers, we have now 3 data centers, so that if we have a problem on the primary, you can go to secondary and you can go to the third one. All this because we are getting ready and preparing for bigger challenges, bigger than the capital city, bigger than the country, maybe Africa.
The region. Yes. Well, let me ask you, and I should have asked you this earlier when you told us you started in a cyber cafe. how much money was then your initial investment into your business? Because I think that's also something that puts out a lot of young people who have fantastic ideas, but think when we talk about Jambo Pay and you're now saying you're handling, the automated traffic parking system in Nairobi, someone is thinking, wow, that's such a lot of money, but they really don't know where, you came from. So maybe you can start by telling us
about that.
Yeah.
We start here. Today, Jambo Pay serves over 1,500 clients. When we started, we did not have a single client. And we started off with in a cyber cafe, which was basically meant 4,500 rent per month. Even to date, I still have a challenge of saying how much, but I certainly know it was less than 100,000 shillings, probably 50,000 or something like that, because we had to put in a lot of, we are making something small, put in there, but it was definitely below 100,000 shillings. Today, the organization employs over 100 employees, 68 of them permanent. We handle billions of transactions every month in terms of volume. The organization now has grown into, we are now in Tanzania, we are in Senegal. We also have an office in the Netherlands.
Yeah, sure.
I think the point there to entrepreneurs, young guys, old or young, who have not started is, stop looking at those assets, those big spaces. Just start. It takes the biggest amount of capital that you require is just that conviction. Getting yourself out of that bed, out of that closet, out of your house, with an idea, getting out there to sell. Just doing the research and deciding from today I'm going to do this. In fact, what kept us going whole 1 year was just discipline. Even when we did not have clients, I woke up every morning 7. I was in the office and went back late.
Office being the cyber cafe?
Yes, the cyber cafe. Yes.
I want to know, how long was the cyber cafe office?
We were there for 6 months.
6 months.
6 months, and for a whole year 6 months we did not get any client. Mm-hmm. We even went out of our way and had to train. There was a gentleman we called the chairman. We had to train him ICT so that we could. Our first earning was 20,000 from training someone. Mm-hmm. I respect that gentleman very much because he was our first client, and now we grew to host.
Speaking of ICT, yes, an industry that is ever evolving, ever changing, we're seeing quite a number of young people getting into it, but not particularly getting absorbed into the system. How do you think, or what do you think we need to do to change that shift?
I think first is to cultivate the spirit of entrepreneurship. Look, Jambo Pay today employs over 100 directly. If we had 100 such ventures, which are ICT basically, that means you'd have lots of guys who are absorbed. So the first point is getting guys to believe and to start. We also, I think, the next point is getting a lot of support from the private sector, the public sector, the government, procurement, ought to also be streamlined so that it's able to support these young guys who do not have a profile. I know some bits of that is happening, with 30% of that. And really getting also ourselves as the entrepreneurs who have also managed to move some steps to support and mentor and groom guys who are coming up.
So you feel you have a role? Sorry,
yes,
Patrick. All right, Patrick, go ahead.
Okay, no problem. Yes. Okay, speaking of the ICT sector and the opportunities therein, is it that young entrepreneurs who are oriented in this particular line are not casting their nets wide enough and sending themselves out, or is it that the industry itself is not solid enough to absorb the huge numbers that are being perhaps churned out of universities and other tertiary institutions on a perhaps yearly basis?
Yeah, I think there are two. One is the industry being, we still have industry that is controlled by the old enterprises that believe in experiences and certain other aspects of it. Ourselves at Jambo Pay, I think you have visited in the past, you've seen it is young guys. So we need to get more of enterprises that believe in themselves, young guys for themselves. Yes. And young guys means guys who are coming from learning institutions. Number two is the aspect of also getting, we need to tap in at that point when guys are coming out of institutions like colleges and universities to also believe that you do not have necessarily to go seek for a job. ICT is such that can start something if you just get patient and you understand fully that there are processes also, or there are phases of business growth. It does not have 6 months is a, if you stay 6 months and give up, that's really an opportunity that you have lost. You need to structure well, get patient, understand that you are at this phase of startup, what you need to do to go to the next phase of growth, and so forth.
Okay. Yes. Patrick, time is not on our side. Maybe you can ask the final question. I have so many questions. So, yeah. So
perhaps you spoke about the 30% preferential perhaps provision for special groups, the youth included. You are one of them who's lucky to have landed these government contracts. But is there, how can you advise the younger entrepreneurs when it comes to actually tapping into these opportunities from especially the biggest spender, which is government?
Thank you. I think first is you need to specialize. You need to know what area you need to operate. First, form a product or a service that you develop are known for, so that you can, and then the next bit of it is you need to get regulated or get licensed or get registered. There are certain aspects of this, like getting registered. You can get a business name or you can incorporate, get that certificate. There are certain other aspects of, we have a certificate now for the youth, women and disadvantaged groups,
yes.
YAGPO, certificate that you can apply and get that. And then you have to apply, participate in this tender process. You cannot win a tender, you cannot win any race unless you participate, unless you run in the race. So first and most important is just getting your documentation proper, and then participate, tender, and attach all these documents. Usually in these tenders, these requirements are usually stipulated that you need to have a certificate, you need to have this and this and that. And then do not just focus on the government. Sometimes you need to also look at your neighborhood. Maybe there is a church that you can provide. You build your profile, and a profile means anybody, including your relatives, your friends, your church, your mosque, any other organization that you can serve. Provide your services, either sell or provide and have someone as your customer, and then just believe in yourself, be competitive and get aggressive. Yes, Jambo Pay has been. We have participated and managed to secure a number of government contracts in that bracket. And most of the time, even before that came into play, the 30%, we were competing with those other healthy. We are also healthy as an organization with multinationals and beating them. In fact, some bits of it we see applied, but most of the time, I think 30% is really not come into play, but we see some efforts and really appreciate government supporting it.
Okay, time is clearly not on our end, and we have to come to an end. Beautiful conversation we've had this morning. Danson Muchemi, the CEO of Jambo Pay, telling us his story, telling us of how he started in a cyber cafe that he paid 4,500 bob a month as rent, and 6 months later he was able to grow. And for him, really, the message I'm getting is all about conviction. You have to believe in yourself and whatever you're putting out for it to be successful. That doesn't mean if it doesn't work out 6 months later, then you drop out. You continue with that race.
You have to be consistent.
You have to be persistent, consistent.
And have resilience.
And in that, just tell us your final word to aspiring entrepreneurs out there. What would you tell them?
Your time is now. It is, if you have to start something, you have to start now. It is your turn to change the world. In fact, you are the change that the world has been waiting for. So you have to apply yourself now, so that the world can receive you and become part of change. So don't wait. Don't wait tomorrow. Start right now.
The time is now, because I can just hear them telling the time is now, the time is now. All right, thank you so much for coming. We really, really appreciate. And we're coming to the end of the Power Breakfast Show for this morning. We do hope, like we always say, that you've been informed, you've been entertained, and you have been educated. My name is Kiri Wangarwa. I'm here with Patrick Igunza. Mutegi Njau is here as well. And I want to say thank you so much for watching the show this morning. We'll see you tomorrow, same time. It's Friday. You know how we do it here on the Power Breakfast Show every Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. For now, I'll take you to the other studio so that I can enjoy some beautiful music before the top of the hour from C.E.O. and Dira the band. Have a beautiful Thursday. Take care.